Hello, and I want to welcome you to Sustainable Management 770, Leading Sustainable Organizations. My name is Lucy Arndt, and I will be your instructor for this course. And in this relatively short video, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about myself and also a little bit about the course. So let me start by telling you a little bit about myself. As I said, my name is Lucy Arndt. My last name is pronounced very simply. If you just imagine that D is an apostrophe, like you aren't pronouncing my name correctly, you'll see that it's in fact very easy to pronounce. It's my husband's name, and D and T are just, they're just pronounced like they're two T's. My educational background. I have a PhD in management science from the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee. I studied both strategic management and organizational behavior within my major, and then I also studied communication as a minor. My teaching interests. I teach at both the undergraduate and the graduate levels. I teach courses in organizational behavior and leadership, and of course, this specific course. My research interests focus on decision making, looking specifically at how individuals, organizations, and communities make decisions around natural disasters. So I'm interested in topics such as community resilience, recovery from disasters, how organizations plan for and respond to disasters, etc. All kinds of that stuff. Why am I teaching this particular course? It's a course that does a really great job of bringing together a number of my interests, not the least of which include how does a person lead an organization? I'm not talking about leading individuals or leading small groups of people or leading a division. This course is not about that. This course is about leading the overall organization. So how do we do that in ways that are sustainable, that are responsible, that are ethical? That's what brings me to teaching this course. I also have an acute interest in sustainable living practices, and I firmly believe that organizations that act in ways that are, again, sustainable, responsible, and ethical have every possibility of not only surviving, but thriving. And so, of course, it's very interesting to me to teach this subject matter. Let me tell you a little bit about myself personally. I'm married. I have been for decades. I have 3 sons, all adults, and 2 granddaughters who are, of course, perfect because grandchildren usually are considered perfect, but they really are. They're absolute adorable little girls. The reason I tell you about my family, at least a little bit about my family, is that they're incredibly important to me, and in fact I would argue perhaps my highest personal value alongside social justice and a belief in equity and fairness. I think it's important that you know a little bit about my personal values because that's really going to affect how I interact with you, the way that I grade, the things that I expect from you, etc. So it's important that you know a little bit about me. One of the things that you should know about me is that while it's okay for you to call me Dr. Arndt or Professor Arndt, in fact, I do prefer to be called by my first name. So please feel free to write, Dear Lucy or Hello Lucy when you're sending me an email. I'm named after a great aunt who lived to be 100 years old. She was a woman who I respected greatly, who lived her life with integrity, a real role model, and so I view it as a sign of respect to be addressed by her name, and I would be grateful if you would consider doing that. So what is this course all about? As everybody hinted at, this course takes a macro level approach. We are looking at not individual leadership, not how do you get along with individuals, not even how you get along with people in a division, but rather what does it take to lead an overall organization. So we're really looking at middle and higher level management concerns. We're going to look through a couple of different lenses or frameworks. One is looking at and taking the 4 functional areas of management approach. So planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. When you look at the text, you'll notice that it's divided into those sections. So that's the first framework or way that we're going to look at this overall topic of leading sustainable organizations. The other framework that this text uses is it's focused on three main areas, or you could say it uses three lenses. The first is the lens of sustainability, the triple bottom line: people, planet, profits. The second is responsibility, and the third is ethics. So for each of our topics, planning, organizing, leading, and controlling, we're going to look at them through the lens of sustainability, responsibility, and ethics. And we're going to give all three of those equal weight because of the strongly held belief that I have and many other management scholars have, which is that that's the right way to lead organizations, at least organizations that not only perform at a high level, which that's important. We need to make money in order to pay people's salaries. But in addition to performance, we want organizations that are making their people happy, the people within the organization, the people within the community in which the organization resides, and organizations that treat the planet correctly, if you will, in such a way that the resources on this planet are available for generations to come. So what are you going to be doing in this class? I mean, I think if I was a student, that would really be on my mind. Well, you're going to be busy. It's a graduate level course, and my expectations for you are high, as they are in all of my courses. I teach predominantly upper level undergraduate and graduate level courses, and I believe strongly in setting the bar high and having expectations of you that I know you can achieve, that respect the integrity of the learning experience. So first, you're going to be doing a fair amount of reading. There's this textbook. Voila, that's what my version of it looks like. And in addition to that textbook, you'll also be reading articles that I'll post to our discussion forum every week, things that I think are relevant and especially insightful perhaps, that I know would add to your understanding of the topic. So you'll see those things posted, and my expectation is that you will read them and you'll refer to them in our discussions and on your exams, etc. Now, one of the things that you'll notice in the content area of our D2L site is that for each of the chapters I will also have included a PowerPoint. Now, let me be really clear with what's happening with the PowerPoints. They are not narrated, and they're not going to be narrated, because I don't believe that graduate level courses should have lectures that are somehow linked to PowerPoints. Now, other faculty have different perspectives, and they are welcome and encouraged to have those perspectives. But this is less a class about learning a whole bunch of facts and more a class that hopefully at least helps you think critically, helps you solve problems, helps you be a better decision maker. And that means a lot of the area in which we'll be operating is somewhat gray. And it's not appropriate to have a narrated PowerPoint that purports to tell you, well, these are the facts, because it's not quite that simple. Instead, the PowerPoints are really there as an organizational guide for you as you go through the chapters, as you read through the chapters. You know, you can print them in note form if you wish, and then you can take your notes from the reading right on those PowerPoints. They'll help you to organize what those chapters look like. That's their goal. In addition, to accompany the text, I'll be doing a short, what I would call a just-in-time video, usually every week for every chapter, that gives you a few points to ponder associated with that chapter, things that I think you might want to think more carefully about, or questions that I might raise, or issues that I might think are worth your critical thinking and reflection. So you'll want to watch for those just-in-time videos. The primary way in which you're going to be learning in this class is essentially the same as the primary way you would learn in this class if it were face-to-face, and that is through discussion. So the text is your background material, but it's discussion where you really need to bring to bear what you've read in the text and your life experiences, your work experiences, your questions, your reflections, and you're going to dive in with the rest of the class to really tackle some meaty topics. The structure of this will be such that each of you will be responsible at some point during the semester for leading a discussion, or at least co-leading a discussion, depending on how many students we end up enrolled in the class. So your responsibility will be to put out the main questions that will get the conversation started, and then to come up with follow-up questions, to keep everyone engaged in the conversation, to ask people to clarify what they've said, to add in other ways to the discussion. Everybody else's responsibility will be to be an active and engaged follower, to dive into that discussion with you, to share their opinions on what your questions have been and what they've thought about the reading, and to ask questions of you and the rest of the members of the class. In other words, it will be as close to a face-to-face discussion as we can possibly simulate. Now, to pull this off, here's what you can't do. You can't expect to just chime in on the discussion on the weekends. You will have to be engaged throughout the week. You will have to put forth the bulk of your discussion points during the week, Monday through Friday, and try to limit your contributions on the weekend, because it's also my firm belief that people need some downtime. Now, I understand that many of you are working full-time. Me too. Full-time teaching and a full-time administrator job this semester. So I'm crazy busy. I get it. I get that you're crazy busy. But you can't have a conversation where people don't chime in until the very end and then nobody responds to them. That to me is not contributing to the conversation. So this isn't like some other classes perhaps where all you had to do was put out a couple of answers and you were good to go. Here your goal is to make real, substantive, regular contributions to what should be a meaningful and insightful conversation. You'll also have 5 written assignments. You'll find the description of those in the syllabus area on our D2L site, and you'll have a presentation assignment. I want you to look especially carefully at that presentation assignment, because while it's due at the end of the semester, you have to be working on it, or you should be working on it unless you want to make yourself crazy. Every single week you will be contributing to that overall presentation assignment. Last, in terms of assignments, there will be a midterm and a final exam. Those are important. Those give you a tremendous opportunity to demonstrate to me just how well you're learning the material. It's where I find out, how well you think. They will be essay exams. You will be able to use all the resources you want, including you can talk to each other, not a problem. You'll have plenty of time to look at those questions, at least a few days before you have to turn them into me. You can ask me questions about them. I won't pre-read your answers and give you feedback because that wouldn't be fair to everybody. But you can certainly ask me clarifying questions about the exam questions. There's a lot to learn in this class, but it's pretty exciting once you throw yourself completely into it when you dive in. So I'm hoping that you'll join me in understanding that, first of all, there is no such thing as instant pudding when it comes to leading organizations sustainably, responsibly, and ethically. It requires the very best of us to do our very best and to tackle tough, challenging, complex problems with everything we know, knowing that even our very best solutions might not prove to be best forever and ever. And so we'll have to keep tweaking and improving, enhancing, etc., etc. So I hope the prospect of that is exciting to you, and I look forward to learning with you over the course of the next 14 or so weeks, when in Wisconsin at least there will be snow on the ground. All right, everybody, take care.